News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Federal Immigration Minister Jason Kenney is defending his government's decision to close the Lethbridge Immigration Office and cut health care benefits for some refugees. Kenney was in Lethbridge today, where he's meeting with community groups, business and leaders, as well as agencies that support refugees. Terry Vogt reports.
The visit by Federal Immigration Minister Jason Kenney comes at a time when his department is under attack for several major changes. At the beginning of this month, the immigration office in Lethbridge was closed, leaving a growing immigrant population in southern Alberta to rely on telephone or internet service, or if necessary, travel to Calgary for help.
If you wish to speak to Citizenship and Immigration Canada, you must access them through the call centre or through the website. Unfortunately, both of those resources are only available in English and French, and that's not particularly helpful for folks who don't speak either of those two languages.
The federal government also announced recently it would be changing the interim federal health program to cut some health care benefits for refugees, a move that concerns agencies that deal with new arrivals.
We recognize that there is the pressure to cut spending, but to affect that on people who are midway in their journey here and who are arriving with one set of expectations to find another reality when they arrive is very troubling, and it's going to be very challenging for us to deal with.
I think there is some misinformation out there on this.
For his part, the immigration minister says the federal government will continue to provide comprehensive health insurance to resettled refugees who are welcomed by Canada, but shouldn't be providing social benefits for rejected asylum claimants, those who are drawing out their stay in Canada through the generous appeal process.
At some point we have to say that we have to look out for the interests of Canadian taxpayers, and I don't think I can force Canadian taxpayers to finance supplemental health benefits that they themselves don't get.
With the arrival of 9 people yesterday, Lethbridge now has a population of more than 500 Bhutanese refugees. That's the largest single population anywhere in Canada. And those who work with immigrants and refugees say they welcome the opportunity to meet with the minister and make sure he's aware of the impact these government decisions have on local services and the clients themselves. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And this afternoon, the immigration minister took part in a roundtable event with business leaders and immigration agencies. Tonight, he's going to be speaking at a Conservative Party fundraiser in Lethbridge. Long weekend's almost here, but Dory, we could now be seeing some showers come Canada Day. Oh!
I know, but it is early days. It is still Wednesday, and this is southern Alberta, and things can change drastically, but you're right. It looks like the area of high pressure that we have moving in, that's what's bringing all the wind right now. That's going to be with us for a few days, but then Sunday looks like we could have a little upper low pressure center moving in. But we'll keep tracking that system. For the most part, the long weekend, though, is looking pretty good. I'll have details coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. With less precipitation over the last 24 hours, southern Alberta river levels are dropping. Now, here's the latest from Alberta Environment. Advisories remain in place for the Oldman River downstream of Lethbridge and the South Saskatchewan River in Medicine Hat, the Bow River in and around Calgary as well. The all clear has been sounded for the Oldman River upstream of Lethbridge, as well as tributaries flowing out of the Cypress Hills. But flood watches remain in place tonight for a number of rivers in southeastern BC. In the East Kootenay, the Elk River is under a flood watch, as well as rivers in the West Kootenay, Upper Columbia region, and the Kicking Horse River. Now, residents across southeastern BC are continuing to try and stop those floodwaters. Wayne Leismer is pumping water out of his crawl space. Wassa Lake is creeping into people's yards, and the Kootenay River is filling up floodplains. Some roadways are flooded out as well. People in the Wassa Lake community are being advised to move valuables out of the way, and forestry workers are busy filling up sandbags. Residents say because the entire water table is on the rise, sandbagging may not be effective.
No, I think it helps slow it down a little bit, so you're just waiting for the tide to turn here, so to speak. It might allow me enough time with sandbagging to slow it down enough that be out of it. But I mean, if you have some major surges, I mean, sandbagging isn't going to help that much.
Water levels also continue to be a concern for the residents of the Creston Valley area. The Kootenay Lake continues to rise, and it could be at a 75-year high this week. It's already reached a 40-year high. Now, meantime, about 250 people are being allowed to return home to Sicamous. After the flooding, many homes are gutted, and the popular houseboating industry is almost entirely washed out. About 80 people are still waiting for the waters to recede. And wild weather pummeled our neighbors to the east of us. For the second night in a row, a massive storm hammered southern Saskatchewan. This time, though, a big twister touched down just outside of Moose Jaw. We've got some footage captured by a storm chaser, Jared Mysko, just before the supper hour. The tornado hit just west of Moose Jaw, south of Highway 1. As you can see, a second funnel cloud was churning just to the left of the big twister. The massive storm triggered a number of tornado warnings and watches and produced several thunderstorms and hail. A 49-year-old man is dead after a rollover near Tabor. The accident happened Tuesday afternoon around the noon hour, just northeast of the community. The Chevy truck was the only vehicle involved in the accident. The driver wasn't wearing his seatbelt at the time. The man's name hasn't been released, and police are continuing to investigate. Meanwhile, the lawyer for a Florida man caught at the Coots border crossing with a huge cache of weapons is optimistic that the case will move forward at his next court appearance. Back in February, border guards found 75 firearms, including 48 handguns, a blowgun, a pistol, crossbow, and 23 high-capacity magazines in the man's pickup truck. It's the largest handgun seizure ever at the crossing. 54-year-old George Foster is facing 15 charges. Today, he hired a new lawyer to represent him. An agent for Greg White says he's working with the Crown towards resolving the case at Foster's next court appearance that's scheduled for July the 4th. A Vulcan man accused of sex crimes against girls and of an attempted abduction of a boy is now facing more charges. 19-year-old AJ Gregory is charged with 4 counts of sexual assault, sexual interference, and sexual touching. The charges stem from alleged sexual relations with 2 girls under the age of 16. But Gregory is also charged with attempted kidnapping. Gregory's lawyer has told the courts that her client is now facing 3 additional related charges. She's asked for more time to look over disclosure information. The case will be back before the courts on July the 16th. Well, 6 decades after World War II, a new memorial is ready to be unveiled tomorrow in London, England. It's one of the most massive memorials built in that city and will commemorate Allied Forces Bomber Command. Over 55,000 men lost their lives in the bombing campaign, upwards of 10,000 of those Canadian aircrew. And as Kevin Fleming tells us in this report, the new memorial has a connection to Nanton.
That's when I got my medal, did the DFM.
Bill Hume was a 20-year-old gunner in World War II, one of 7 airmen that flew missions in a Halifax bomber. He still has his logbook and fond memories of the plane.
But it was a nice aircraft. Yeah, we had I'd done 19 trips.
A stack of aluminum ingots are stored at the Bomber Command Museum of Canada. 386 kilograms of these were shipped to Europe to be shaped into the roof structure of the new London Memorial. What makes these ingots special is before they were melted into bars, they were an RCAF Halifax bomber. The plane crashed into a bog in Belgium after being shot down in 1944. Debris from the aircraft was recovered along with the bodies of 3 Canadian aircrew. They were buried in a ceremony in 1997.
So there's a piece of history, a piece of a bomber that had a Canadian crew, and some of their blood is probably in that yet, or at least that's the feeling. Certainly there's humanities involved in that.
The names of more than 10,000 Canadian airmen are on Canada's Bomber Command Memorial outside the Nanton Museum. Volunteers at the museum have collected a vast amount of information about them.
We have that book, it's all listed in alphabetical order, where the remains are, what squadron they're in, who was the pilot of their aircraft, when they went down or missing.
And after surviving a total of 49 bombing missions, Bill Hume earned the right to be in London Thursday for the unveiling of the new Bomber Command Memorial.
They asked if you wanted to go, but I thought, you'll be you and 10,000 people there. You'll be standing, you know, so I didn't bother.
Hume will watch the unveiling with friends and memories. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Nanton.
A large delegation from Canada will be on hand for tomorrow's unveiling of the Bomber Command Memorial in London, England. Lethbridge City Council has approved a one-time grant for a new affordable housing project in the city. The L'Arche Association of Lethbridge will receive $300,000 to help complete renovations at the organization's newest project on 19th Street South. The new home will have room for at least 4 developmentally disabled adults and up to 6 live-in assistants. There will also be 2 two-bedroom suites for people who are able to live independently. The L'Arche Association of Lethbridge is a publicly funded agency that provides residential support to adults with developmental disabilities. More high school students in Alberta are graduating than ever before. That's according to new numbers released by the province. Alberta's high school completion rate rose to 74% in 2011. That's compared to 72.6% in 2010. It's the 4th consecutive increase in graduating rates. The province's dropout rate also went down in the past year. It's been a very exciting last day of school for students at a Lethbridge area elementary school. During this afternoon's year-end assembly, students at Sunnyside found out they raised $2,400 at a recent fundraiser. The money will be used to improve their technology department. The school also received a $2,500 Safety Star School grant. Members of the school council created a video about safety at their school and won one of 10 provincial prizes. One of their teachers was also honored for his work. School officials say it's a great end to a wonderful year.
I attribute it to just a very committed community, the parents, school council, just a lot of dedicated families that really care about Sunnyside School and the people here. So they put in the time and the energy, and we didn't expect necessarily any of this to take place.
I come with lots of energy, and I like to have fun with the kids, and I like to do things with the kids that are kind of hands-on and something different, whether just something that they get excited about too, because just sitting down on your desk and doing numbers and adding, and it gets boring after a while.
And that's grade 3-4 teacher Ken Van Cleve. During the assembly, he was given a provincial award acknowledging his teaching skills and ability to inspire learning in math and science. As part of the award, the school will receive a $2,000 prize. Turning now to the markets today, where there's some mixed reaction. Some ups, some downs. Here are the closing numbers.